I was in a line with a lot of people, a big door, those beautiful doors that you can tell are made of wood, that's right.
It was old, yes, colonial style.
Exactly, but a beautiful door. It was painted but gorgeous, and a lot of people at that door waiting to see their loved ones. Well, bueno, I've been wanting to tell you this for a long time because I always watch your show, and well, honestly, I hear so many things, right, that I always wanted to share the dream I had.
Look,
I think about it and it still moves me even after so many years have passed. In 2016, my father-in-law passed away. He passed away. I was pregnant with my little girl who is now 7 years old. And well, he passed away and, deep inside, I didn't go to see him. I mean, when they held the wake, right? Because I was pregnant, I had gone through some bad situations and the doctor wouldn't let me, experience strong emotions, so he wouldn't allow it. So, well, I had to stay at home and I didn't go to the burial. I always had that feeling inside me of wanting to give him a hug when he passed away, and I always told my husband, and well, I've always been very religious. I truly believe in God, and I always asked God to have that encounter, so I could give him that hug that I needed so much. And well, one day, I dreamed about him, but it was also real that God helped me let go of that worry I had inside me. I dreamed about him. I dreamed that I was in line with a lot of people in front of a big, beautiful wooden door. That's right.
yeah, just like that colonial style.
Exactly, but it was a beautiful door. It was painted, but gorgeous. And there were a lot of people at that door waiting to see their loved ones. And I felt like I was there, right? I was there waiting to see him, and then that door opened. And a lady comes, she opens the door, and when that door opens, I see nothing but white light on the other side. And a lady comes out. She says to me, "Who are you waiting for?" I told her, "No, I'm waiting to see my father-in-law." "Oh, okay," she says. She asked me for his name. I told her, and she called him, and he came. And he came and said to me, "Hello, Rosie, what are you doing here?" I told him, "No, I came because the first thing I want to say is, will you let me give you a hug?" And then when I hugged him, I felt all that love, that you can have for someone, the kind you couldn't give them when you should have. And well, I hugged him. I told him how much I loved him. And well, that I was sorry I wasn't there when I should have been because of, well, the situations I had gone through. And he told me that he understood me. And then he grabbed me and he sat down on a wooden chair, crossed his legs, and he grabbed me and said, "Everyone is over there and I'm fine here," he told me. Because I was also worried about how he was doing, right?
What really happens when we die, right? In the end.
Of course, especially because I knew they had done things here on earth that, let's say, were wrong, right? And well, I wanted to know that too, how he was over there, where he was. And no, and he just told me, "Tell everyone to stay calm, that I'm fine here." And he told me, I like the place where I am, and that was something that really stayed with me. And then when I woke up, I swear I hugged my husband and told him about it, and he was able to share that message with his siblings too, right? Because his siblings were also wondering about that. They wanted to know how their dad was, wherever he is, and that he was okay. So that was my experience with my father-in-law, knowing that he is okay. And well, like I said, every now and then I have encounters with him. He talks to me, asks me about things, and every time I tell him about things like that, he laughs. He always had that smile, it never fades. And I tell my husband, and well, to this day, my husband gets emotional when I tell him these things, right? But it was a beautiful experience.
Beautiful experience. I have no doubt that you were in the afterlife or that he showed you in the dream what it's like.
Yes, yes, and well, I can tell someone, right, who wants to know how their loved one is doing to ask God, to ask their loved one, and God will grant it. Because I believe that God wants all of us to be at peace in our hearts, knowing where our loved one is, right? What's happening to them. And I believe that just like it happened to me, it can happen to many people.
Yes, and without a doubt, when you are open to receiving information that comes from the other side, this information comes, for example, in a dream, right? Thanks a lot, Rosalia, sending you a kiss.
Thank you, Hector.
Blessings. Thank you. Blessings to you too. Clearly, you're going to have a large group of people. I mean, a large group, and maybe I'm wrong, right? A lot of people are going to discredit this by saying, oh, but it was just a dream. Those people don't know that there isn't just one kind of dream, that you can have psychological dreams and you can have other kinds of parapsychological dreams. And that from the possibility of those parapsychological dreams, this is something we've been talking about very often on the show, right? When a person dies or passes on, that is, leaves the body, their consciousness, their spirit, their energy remains. They don't have a body. When someone sleeps, they're alive, but in the dream, they also don't have a body. The body stays sleeping in bed, and it's the consciousness that experiences the dream state. There, we're on equal terms, where a disembodied person can interact with our consciousness. And it's like the movie The Matrix. Everything you see around you, if you like, is an image generated so that you feel comfortable, so you don't get a tremendous shock. But ultimately, what matters is that your loved one still exists, because here it seems like we forget the most important thing, which is realizing that there is something more. Because there are a lot of people who tell you, you die and nothing happens. You die and everything just goes black and there's nothing else. In that case, it wouldn't be so bad since there'd be no consciousness. There's no awareness of not existing, right? It's kind of paradoxical. We simply wouldn't exist. Therefore, it wouldn't be so catastrophic either, but I don't believe in that. I have thousands of experiences from the program, but I also have many personal experiences that show me we survive physical death and that we continue to exist. Later, if you want, we can discuss the hypotheses about reincarnation, whether it happens or not, and whether it's something we choose. In fact, the play I wrote, Desde el Más Allá, is about that, about what happens when we die. But I'd also like to hear from you. You can write to me at trasnoshparanormal@gmail.com. You can send me audio messages at 112-7841-073. I'll be there live too.